The New England Patriots were on to Cincinnati in more ways than one, and now they start the season 1-0. Stick around, you're about to be locked into this special game recap edition of the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots the daily part of your New England Patriots coverage and also your first listen each and every day. Remember, Locked On Patriots is not only a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, but we're also free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So smash that subscribe button, download and follow Locked On Patriots wherever you get your podcasts to ensure you're getting the latest episode as soon as it's available. I'm your host, Mike Debate, and I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Athlon Sports. So reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots social media style, please be sure to follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, it's been a long time since your New England Patriots were an afterthought underdog to open the season. And let's face it, very few of us, including yours truly, gave them much of a chance to pull out the victory in the Queen City on Sunday. But I'm happy to admit that I was wrong. And I'll take my comeuppance all baked up in some humble pie. And to boot, I'll even take mine a la mode. Running back Rhamondre Stevenson looked fantastic as he rushed for 120 yards and a first quarter touchdown. Joey Sly kicking 3 field goals, and New England winning Jerod Mayo's debut as head coach, beating a still working the kinks out version of the Cincinnati Bengals 16-10 on Sunday at Paycor Stadium. And the Patriots earning their first kickoff weekend victory since they did so back in September of 2020, a 21-11 victory over Miami at Gillette Stadium. An exciting upset win for the Pats in every sense of the word, and we're going to break it all down for you between tonight's episode, and don't forget, more analysis coming on Monday with your good friend and mine, Thomas Murphy, joining me here in the hot seat. So we are just scratching the surface when it comes to Patriots-Bengals coverage, but probably the biggest takeaway from this one is Jerod Mayo winning his debut as head coach. First regular season game, he joins former Patriots coaches Ron Meyer in 1982, Raymond Berry in 1984, Dick McPherson in 1991, and Pete Carroll back in 97 as the only Patriots coaches to win their first regular season game. Their first regular season game with the Patriots, that is. And another distinction for Jerod Mayo, he actually joins Robert Kraft in getting his first win in one of the top spots in the organization against the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, that's right. Robert Kraft actually got his first victory as owner of the New England Patriots back on September 18th in 1994 when the Patriots defeated the Bengals back at the old Riverfront Stadium 31-28. And as you can imagine, this was an emotional moment for Jerod, rightfully so. After the game, Mayo was given the game ball by Robert Kraft, and this was a great moment of pride for both Jerod and for Robert Kraft, especially after all the upheaval this offseason, the uncertainty surrounding what Jerod's performance was going to be. And let's face it, it's not easy having to follow a legendary head coach like Bill Belichick. That is not an enviable task for anyone. But I give a lot of credit to Jerod. He handled it with class today, and his team came ready to play in all 3 phases. That's how winning is done, and that's why the Patriots won on Sunday against the Bengals. And even though they were underdogs coming into this game, Mayo and the Pats didn't buy into the negative hype. In fact, after the game, when Jerod spoke with the media, he said, and I quote, "We're not trying to hear anything from the outside. I told those guys," meaning Jerod telling his team, "all week, it's about us in this building. There is no one going to come in here on a white shining horse and save the day. I said, look, you guys are here for a reason. It's all we got, and it's all we need." And that's exactly what the Pats did on the Paycor Stadium field on Sunday. They looked like a team that knew they could beat the Bengals, and that's exactly why they did. All eyes were on Jacoby Brissett, and he did not disappoint in this one. I thought a solid outing by the veteran, finished 15 of 24 for 121 yards, a QBR of 51.3. I thought Jacoby was particularly efficient at moving the chains. He picked up 3 first downs via scrambles, and his presence at the line of scrimmage provided stability, and it also provided a veteran savvy. That's why he's in there, folks. Drake May has a ton of talent. I know a lot of you out there in Patriots Nation are clamoring to see more of Drake May. Believe me, you're going to get a heavy dose of him in due time, but when he's ready. And by his performance today, Jacoby proved that the ship is sailing in the right direction with him at the helm for the time being. Now, if you want to say the offense was surprisingly efficient, I think that's a pretty good way to describe them. Defensively, I thought the Patriots looked in midseason form in this one. Got to give a lot of credit to DeMarcus Covington. He had his unit ready on Sunday. They played a mix of different coverages, which I think helped to confuse Cincinnati a little bit, but they really leaned more into their zone structures. That helped to limit a lot of the Bengals' ability to make big plays. That defense as a whole limited Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow to only 167 passing yards on 29 attempts. In fact, Burrow didn't even hit his first explosive pass until the second half and only averaged 5.6 air yards per attempt. Not a great day for the Cincy phenom. Now, I'll concede, and I think we all have to concede, that a lot of the Bengals' offensive woes came from not having T. Higgins in the lineup, a rusty Jamar Chase, and of course, Burrow himself looked like he was still clearing some of the cobwebs from his injury last year. But that should not take away from the fact that the Patriots defense played solid in all 3 levels: the front, the linebackers in the middle, and of course, the defensive secondary. These guys all had roles, and they all executed them with enough efficiency and, dare I say, at times even some excellence to keep that Bengals offense at bay. And they deserve a lot of credit for that. Now, if you recall last week's crossover with Locked On Bengals, my good friends and colleagues James Rapine and Jake Liskow, I did not predict the Patriots were going to be successful on this. But I did mention that if they were to keep this game close and have that puncher's chance for a victory, they were going to have to establish the run, control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and win the turnover battle. Well, lo and behold, folks, the Patriots did just that to pull off the upset. The most important thing that they did on Sunday, they controlled the line of scrimmage. They only allowed 10 points on defense. Again, I think they did it against a talented Bengals offense, even without T. Higgins in the lineup, even with Jamar Chase being a shell of what he usually is, and Joe Burrow having some struggles. There's still a lot of offensive talent in Cincinnati, and the Patriots held it in check by controlling the line. On the offensive side of the ball, they did it by deploying a strong rushing attack. Mentioned Rhamondre Stevenson earlier. Antonio Gibson still looked like he was bothered by his hip injury a little bit, but ultimately he contributed as well. Jermichael Hasty got in there. Patriots rushed for a combined 170 yards. So the running game did its part. And of course, they limited their mistakes. And credit the Patriots, they capitalized on Cincinnati's mistakes. They won the turnover battle 2-0. And this is a big deal for the Patriots. They had only 1 game last season with 0 turnovers, and that was against the Jets on September 24th, and they won that game 15-10. So while winning the turnover battle looked to be a problem for the Pats last year, looks like they put in a lot of effort to make sure that they're winning those battles again this year. Those 2 turnovers were forced and recovered fumbles. And this may be an even bigger deal for the Patriots because they did it against the Bengals team that lost just 2 fumbles last year. In the whole season, the Patriots forced 2 fumbles against this team in 1 game, in the opening game of 2024. Kyle Duggar forcing a fumble on Bengals tight end Tanner Hudson at the 1-yard line. That was recovered by Marcus Jones. He ran that back for a bit. That was a textbook fumble recovery, turning that into a positive gain for the Pats. And then in the 3rd quarter, long snapper Joe Cardona forcing a fumble the first time he's done so in his career on a punt. That was recovered by safety Jalen Hawkins. And again, to do so against Cincinnati was a pretty big deal. Every other NFL team last season in 2023 had at least 5 fumbles. Once again, Cincinnati had only 2. That was tied for the fewest fumbles lost by a team in the Super Bowl era. The 2019 Saints, the 2014 Vikings, and the 2002 Chiefs were the others that did so. So, again, rarefied air for the New England Patriots, getting the job done when it comes to winning the turnover battle. So the Patriots followed a tried and true blueprint to victory, but which players stood out above the rest? Well, in just a moment, I'm going to provide my players of the game in all three phases when this special edition of the Locked On Patriots podcast reaction to the 16-10 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals continues right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Listen up, Locked On listeners. Football is back, and there's never been a better time to use PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike those other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And here's something I know you're going to love. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. That's right. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, your picks are still live with PrizePicks. And my favorite thing about PrizePicks is they put their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. So don't delay, do it today. Download the PrizePicks app and use the code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL, that's LOCKEDON NFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining me here tonight on Locked On Patriots. And we continue to bask in the glow of the New England Patriots opening week 1 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals, 16-10 at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Queen City. The Patriots right now sit at 1-0. And again, I don't think a whole lot of us saw this one coming, but I know Patriots fans out there are excited, and you should be. The Patriots put in a solid performance in all three phases. A lot of players stood out in this one, but who stood out above the rest? Well, that's a question I'm about to answer for all of you. And let's start on the offensive side of the ball. And where else would we start? That's right, folks. Rhamondre Stevenson, looking fantastic as always. He is my offensive player of the game. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably nodding in agreement on that. His 5th career 100-yard rushing performance finished with 25 carries for 120 yards. And again, you can probably label this one the return of the run for the New England Patriots. They didn't have a rusher last season go for over 100 yards, not at any point in 2023. And this is the first 100-yard rushing performance that Rhamondre has had since he had 172 rushing yards against the Las Vegas Raiders back in December of 2022. His 25 attempts matched his career high. He had 25 rushing attempts against the Detroit Lions on October 9th of 2022. So a big game for Rhamondre Stevenson in his debut in this Alex Van Pelt offense. And all day long, you could see that Rhamondre looked very comfortable in this offense, picking up 12, 14, 17 yards. Of course, he gets the Patriots' first touchdown of the year, really showing off everything he can do, but a lot of jump cuts, a lot of inside zones. In fact, Evan Lazar of Patriots.com reported after the game that Stevenson actually lobbied offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt for the Patriots to run more downhill. And the Patriots did get downhill with power and duo blocking schemes, and it worked. Stevenson attacked the Bengals defensive backs on the edge, and that made him even more effective than usual. Just an overall great day for Rhamondre. Once again, he is my player of the game on offense. On the defensive side of the ball, I think you could make the argument for Christian Gonzalez. He had a great game coming back from a season-ending injury last year, holding Jamar Chase to only 6 catches for 62 yards. That's a pretty good showing. And if he continues to lock down the opposing team's top weapon, that's going to make the Patriots defense even more formidable than it was last year. But I have to go with Keion White here. Coming into this game, everybody was hyping Keion White as being the potential next Matthew Judon. Well, as much as I love Matthew and as much as I miss him here in New England, Keion White looked pretty good on Sunday, credited with 2.5 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble. His average separation to the quarterback was a team best 1.8 yards, and he is proving that he really may have the ability to be a monster pass rusher in this league. His first sack against Joe Burrow came for a loss of 4 yards on a second down play in the first quarter. In the second quarter, he combined with linebacker Juwan Bentley on a 5-yard sack of Burrow on a 3rd and 3 to stop a drive, and then he dropped Burrow for a 2-yard loss on 3rd down in the fourth quarter. And this was by far Keion's best game as a New England Patriot. Last year, you didn't get a chance to see it all that much. In fact, the only sack that he had as a rookie came when he dropped quarterback Tommy DeVito, who clearly went home to find his shine box on that one. That was for a 9-yard loss against the Giants on November 28th last year. But once again, you're seeing not only the quickness, not only the field savvy, but the strength and the fearsome nature of the way this kid plays football. He had a day. And in my opinion, I think he won the day on defense for the Patriots. And that's saying a lot because this entire unit as a whole played very well. But if you're asking me to pick one guy out that I think had the monster game here, I have to go with Keion White. Last but certainly not least, I definitely want to give a major tip of the cap to Brendan Schooler, who is my player of the game on special teams. Like Jerod Mayo, he faces the tall task of replacing a legend, and that, of course, is Matthew Slater. You all know the regard with which I hold Matthew Slater, one of my favorite Patriots of all time, to me, one of the best guys I've ever met in any walk of life. Well, I think Slate would be very proud of his protege and his performance on Sunday. Schooler had a career-high 3 special teams tackles, and that's a big performance, considering previously he's had 5 games where he's had 2 special teams tackles. He is capable of being that leader on the third phase, something Matthew Slater did with ease for so many years. This is something that Brendan Schooler now looks ready to do. And based on his performance on Sunday, I think the future of the Patriots special teams unit looks bright under the tutelage of coordinator Jeremy Springer, and of course with Brendan Schooler playing a major role. Folks, the breakdowns of the Patriots' 16-10 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals is just beginning because on Monday, the legend himself, Thomas Murphy, is going to join me, and we're going to break down his monster keys to victory. Which keys led to the Patriots' win? Which of Murph's keys still need to be turned? And we will hear what Murph has to say about that much maligned offensive line and their performance on Sunday, which, dare I say, wasn't as bad as we thought. All this and more is going to be discussed. So, folks, stay locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast. Download, subscribe to, follow wherever you get your podcasts. Trust me, you are not going to want to miss a single second of the action. And in the meantime, tip of the cap. And I thank all of you for joining me here on this special edition game recap primer episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast. I'm your host, Mike Debate, reminding all of you to stay safe, to stay well, and to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you back here again on Monday on Locked On Patriots.